The joint hearing on the House Education and Labor Subcommittee on Early Childhood, Elementary and Secondary Education and the House Natural Resources Subcommittee for the Indigenous People of the United remote hearing and Subcommittee's hearing room is officially closed. Members should choose to sit with their individual devices in the hearing must wear headphones to avoid feedback, echoes, and distortion resulting from more than one person on the software platform sitting in the same room. Members are also expected to adhere to social distancing and safe healthcare guidelines, including the use of masks, hand sanitizers, and wiping down their areas both before and after their presence in the hearing room. In order to ensure that the committee's 5-minute rules adhere to staff and as well as I will be keeping track of time using the committee's field timer. The field timer will appear on its own thumbnail picture and will be named 001 underscore timer. There will be no 1 minute remaining warning. The field timer will show a blinking light when time is up. Members and witnesses and the witness are asked to wrap up promptly when their time has expired, and I will respectfully let members know how to wrap up also when necessary. We're already 30 minutes behind our schedule. Pursuant to Committee Rule 8C, opening statements are limited to the subcommittee chairs and ranking members. This allows us to hear from our witnesses sooner and provides the member with adequate time to ask questions. I now recognize myself for the purpose of making an opening statement. Today, we're meeting to examine the role the Bureau of Indian Education is serving American Indian and Alaska Native students. The federal government has a trust responsibility to Indian tribes bound by both the United States Constitution the students from underrepresented backgrounds, including AIAN students, have higher achievement rates when cultural specific elements were incorporated to the education of First Nation students, but to the future of American Indian and Alaska Native communities and our constitutional commitment to them. So thank you again, Director Dearman. Thank you for joining us and for your service to AIAN students, and I look forward to our discussion. I now recognize Ranking Member Mr. Owens of Utah for the purpose of making an opening statement. Mr. Owens, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Bureau of Indian Education, BIE, has long been plagued by problems. Has been on the Government Accountability Office, GAO, high-risk status list since 2017. The report issued 65 recommendations for improving BIE operations and performance, but as of December 2020, 22 of these recommendations remain open. The schools funded by BIE frequently fail to provide students with an environment that keeps them safe and healthy. For example, the December 2014 Minneapolis Star Tribune ran a 4-part series on BIE schools. It focused on dilapidated state of the school buildings and argued that the decrepit conditions are common throughout the system and neglected by federal government. And a 2015 political report called BIE Schools, the Worst Schools in America, citing one school in Navajo, on the Navajo Reservation that had cracks running down the walls, leaky pipes in the floors, and asbestos in the basement. Additionally, while these schools spend more money per student than non-BIE public schools, student performance is consistently lower than traditional public school students, including that of other Native Americans. The rate of graduation from BIE schools is 53%, which is far below the national average for Native Americans, which is 69%, and even worse compared to the national average of all students of 81%. It is clear that these schools aren't giving students the education they deserve. I know BIE has taken and given back to our society. My hopes are that we do more with our oversight than report that we're failing our children and simply move on. Thank you, and I'll yield back. Can't hear you,
Mr. Sablan, you're currently muted.
Sorry, man. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. No excuse, but I'd like to now recognize Ms. Ledger Fernandez, who chairs the subcommittee of Natural Resources Subcommittee on Indigenous People of the United States. Teresa, please.
Thank you so much, Chair Sablan and Ranking Member Owens. And I also want to thank and recognize the Subcommittee on Indigenous Peoples Ranking Member But unfortunately, like many federal programs for tribes, the BIE has been subject to decades of chronic underfunding. Although funding is a concern for many public schools across the country, the federal underfunding of BIE has had drastic results drastic negative results in educational health and safety disparities among its students. On the House Committee on Natural Resources Subcommittee for Indigenous Peoples, we have held multiple oversight hearings on these topics, including the state of BIE school facilities, the agency's COVID-19 return to learn plans, and as noted, the history of federal Indian boarding schools. From these proceedings, it's clear that Congress must uphold its obligations to Indian country by fully funding BIE and addressing many of the agency's safety and infrastructure concerns, especially those related to facilities and technology. Supporting BIE is a priority for our subcommittee because we know the importance of providing comprehensive education to American Indians and Alaska Natives. That's why I'm pleased to be at this report today, at this hearing today. You know, a while back, I've been hosting Native American roundtables, Native American education roundtables in my district earlier this year. And I'm looking forward to having additional conversations about the innovative work that is being done around our country. But I've also heard from these educators of the difficulties tribes having in getting their voices heard at BIE schools, of the struggles our Bureau-funded schools are facing, from staffing shortages to road access, for school buses can't travel over unsafe bridges to get the kids to school. I also want to share that in last week's educates, I've witnessed the leaking roofs, the falling pasture, the broken bathrooms. And while these children live in areas of poverty, they and their families have high aspirations for their future. They are rich in culture and dreams. Our job in Congress is to remove the obstacles to their ability to achieve their goals and aspirations. I want to thank Chairman Scott for his guidance in addressing the disparity and what we need to highlight, and his willingness to work on an amendment to increase that percentage. I look forward to hearing from Director Dearman and learning how we can help BIE better achieve its educational mission, better achieve the goal of achieving those aspirational issues for our students. Thank you so very much, and I yield back.
Thank you, thank you. I now recognize Ranking Member Mr. Abernathy of California for the purpose of making an opening statement, please. Mr. Abernathy, please.
Thank you very much, Chairman Sablon, and to all of our committee members and witnesses. As we conduct this very important hearing on the policies and priorities as an incredibly critical mission in providing support to more than 30,000 students who are located on or near Indian reservations. We, as members of Congress, have a responsibility not only to help the BIE make sure that they have the resources and the tools that they need to accomplish their mission, but also to provide the oversight function that Congress is tasked with providing on members of the executive branch. And it's in this sense that I want to echo something that you, Mr. Chairman, brought up in your opening statement and Ranking Member Owens mentioned, which is the situation with the Government Accountability Office and their inclusion of the BIE on their biannual high-risk list of federal programs that are vulnerable to waste, fraud, abuse, and mismanagement, or that need transformative change. This is not a surprise to anyone in Indian country to hear about the problems at the BIE. They have been plagued by challenge after challenge spanning decades, which include inadequate facilities, bureaucratic red tape, inability to recruit and retain qualified teachers, inability to consistently use accountability measures to ensure school construction projects are completed on time, and many, many others. So as Ranking Member Owens mentioned, in 2017, when the GIO issued the high-risk designation, there were 39 open recommendations. And just a few months ago, when the GIO released its most recent report, there were still 22 open recommendations. So although the BIE has made a lot of progress, we still have a lot of work to do. And I believe it is our job as members of Congress to hold the BIE accountable in making sure that they close those open issues with the GAO. Along those lines, Mr. Chairman, let me express my disappointment that the GAO has not been included and asked to testify at today's hearing. I had requested that they be given an opportunity to address the problems at the BIE, and unfortunately, they have not been included, nor has any witness outside the BIE been included here. And I just want to remind everyone that we're on the same team here. This is not a partisan issue. We are all interested in making sure that the BIE has the tools and the resources it needs to accomplish a critical mission that it has in supporting students in Indian country. And I think the inclusion of the GAO would have been a very meaningful step in providing that oversight and helping them to take that step. So I am hopeful, Mr. Chairman, that in the future, we can include the GAO as we help the BIE work through these problems. But I'm looking forward to hearing from our witness and in asking the questions that will help us accomplish that goal. With that, I yield back, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Obernotti. You know,
Chairman Sablon, I'm sorry to interrupt, sir. I have received word from Committee General Counsel to ask to pause for 1 moment, sir. I believe there are still YouTube server issues that are causing issues with the public broadcast. If you can hold for 1 second, please, Chair Sablon, before introducing our distinguished panelist, Mr. Dimmer. Thank you, sir.